Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the start of a new weekly reading vlog. This week I hope is going to be a slightly better reading week than last week was. Last week just felt like it was very busy, chaotic. Not that it was by like pre-corona normal vibes, it wasn't like a busy week at all, but I think when you go and do something like, for instance, we went and got a new TV, that probably took up a lot more time than it would have done normally. Like there's no rushing, we were in no hurry, it was no traffic to get stuck in or anything like that. So I don't know, it just has a different feel to it. We did a little bit last week, we went out a couple of times, all abiding by the rules of corona and everything, social distancing guidelines and everything like that. But we went out a couple of times, and especially on a Monday like today, I go and do the food shop on a Monday, and before I know it, it's like it's gone 2 o'clock, it's like 2:15, and I haven't even sat down and read anything at all yet today. It takes up quite a big chunk of the morning, going and doing the shopping, and then by the time I get back I want lunch, etc, etc. But anyway, so I hope this week, like I said, is a bit of a better reading week this week. So a book that I've got that's followed through from last week, which I didn't manage to finish last week, is The Black Moon by Winston. This is the 5th book in the Poldark series, and this I am listening to the audiobook as well as reading along. This is my book that I've kind of got on the side from my physical read, so that if there's something a bit noisy, if my other half wants to put a film on that I'm not interested in, or wants to watch a couple of YouTube videos, I can put my headphones on and read this and still be making progress. Whereas if I was reading a physical book, I probably wouldn't be able to focus, and probably would end up just scrolling on my phone or playing Animal Crossing. That's the other thing that's taking up time, is playing Animal Crossing. So I made quite good progress with this last week, but not as good progress as I wanted to. I really wanted to finish this last week, but alas, it didn't happen. I am 172 pages through, and it's a 540 odd page book, I believe. So that's already a bit of a chunk read of it. Yeah, a good third, if not potentially more of it read, and I'm going to really focus. This book has to be read this week, so I have to make time for it and have to make progress through it. The only good thing is knowing that I've got all week. It's not like the month ends in the middle of the week or anything. We've got the full week, so hopefully I can make some progress with this every day, even if it's 50 or 100 pages a day. I can make progress with it. I read 100 pages of it yesterday, Sunday, so and that was quite achievable, so hopefully I can get some progress made through this. I know the story of the Poldark series because I watched the TV show up to a certain point, so I kind of do know where this book's going, and I think that's probably partly the reason why I've not been picking it up, because I know this one's not going to be completely happy and it's going to be maybe a bit of a tougher book to read. So it's probably psychological why I didn't pick it up too much last week. But yeah, I made progress. I've made a start on it last week, so at least I haven't got the whole thing to read this week. And then the next book I'm going to be focusing on is going to be my physical read for the week, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Now, I was very kindly gifted this. I'm part of a couple of Amazon wishlist gifting groups, and I was very kindly gifted this by Victoria, Confessions of a Reading Freak, and I received this I believe sort of mid-April, so I did thank them on did thank Victoria on Instagram and everything, and I put this on my wish list because I heard quite a few people talking about it on BookTube. Thought it was a really interesting concept. This is about a girl, and I think there's a split timeline. I think there's like a current she's in her early 30s, and then there's a timeline from when she was 15 and when she had a sexual relationship with one of her teachers, and it's kind of in the current timeline when she's in her early 30s. I think someone else has come forward and put a complaint in and started a case against the same man, and I think it's the kind of like the two timelines linking in, and that sort of thing really interests me when there's a character, particularly in this sort of situation, where what has happened is wrong and they kind of have to realise that it's wrong, rather than, like, I inherently know that that doesn't sound right off the surface. Having a relationship when you're 15 with a teacher is there's something really not right there, but because of the way that he treated her and groomed her, I'd imagine from the synopsis that made her feel like it was normal and that she was the only one. But like I said, things come to light, and very interesting to read this one. And I did feel like with all the historical fiction I've been reading, I know this isn't going to be an easy read. I'm sure it's not going to be an easy read, but something more contemporary is good sometimes to break up the historical fiction. It's been quite a historical fiction heavy month so far, so I thought this would be a good change and something with a different topic to it altogether. I had put this on my May TBR, and then when I read Into the Wilderness by Sarah Donati, the first book in the Wilderness series, I decided I wanted to pick up the second book, which I read last week, Dawn on a Distant Shore, and kind of said to myself, look, if I don't get to this, it's not the end of the world. I'll read it next month. I'll read it in June. But I've managed to make more progress, quicker progress than I was expecting, and I've now got a whole week, and I've only got 2 books that are left unfinished, bar the one that I'm currently reading, which is obviously The Black Moon. Bar this one, I've only got 2 other books on my TBR for May, so I thought I do want to pick this up and read this if I can this week, which obviously I can now as I finished Dawn on a Distant Shore. So this is going to be my physical read, and it's not a massively long book. I think it's about 360 odd pages long, so I feel like this will be achievable to be read potentially in a couple of days. I say that now, I said that last week and that didn't happen, but I feel like this could potentially be read in a couple of days, in a few 3 or 4 sittings maybe. Especially with the sort of story that it is, I think it probably would flow quite quickly, especially having the joint timelines, the 2 different timelines. I think that this will flow quite quickly. I'm hoping it will, and I can read it in a couple of days. So that's the plan for my physical read. And like I said, The Black Moon's going to be my audiobook read, and if I finish my Dark Vanessa, then I will just pick up when I would be physically reading and listen to the audiobook and follow along with the book to try and make more progress through that. The other book on my TBR for this month is A Game of Thrones. And I've been listening to the audiobook for this for months, and I'm just shy of halfway through. So depending on what happens this week, and depending on how quickly I finish everything and read everything, I might even make some more progress through this. I get a bit funny at the end of the month, and I tend to not want to start anything until the new month. So if I was to finish a book a couple of days before the end of the month, I wouldn't necessarily want to pick up something new until I knew it was, does that make sense? Until I knew it was June? And that sounds really silly, because I would just count it for June because I'm not likely to finish it. But I get worried that I will finish it in the next couple of days and then that will ruin my June TBR. I think about these sorts of things way too much. So I'm thinking that depending on how I get on with my reading this week, that I might make a bit, I'm not promising to finish it, but also just thinking that if I can just make some progress through it, then it's more progress than I would be making if I didn't pick it up, right? And I do really want to get through this series. This was one of the other series I did want to try and focus on and finish this year, and it's not going to happen now. I don't think. Not with having started the Into the Wilderness series and still got a Poldark book a month to read, and being part of a couple of book clubs that, you know, that entails at least 2 books extra a month. And when I do go back to work, I don't know when that's going to happen still, but when I do go back to work, reading is going to really decrease from my 10 books a month that I've been reading whilst on lockdown. So I feel like if I can just make some progress through this at some point this week, that would be really, really good. Not promising anything, I'm not saying I'm definitely going to do it, but this will be like my backup book for if I finish everything else, or if I at least finish one of them, there's something then else to pick up just for a bit of just to break up my reading. Sometimes just reading one book, especially if it's a slower read or if it's a bit intense, sometimes with historical fiction it's quite nice to have something else alongside it just to kind of keep it fresh. I'm quite up for reading multiple books at once, a couple of books at once. When I'm normally working, I'll have an audiobook on the go, which is nothing that I'm reading physically, and then I'll have a physical read on the go. So I'm quite happy to have 2 books or more on the go. So yeah, I'm hoping that I might be able to make some progress through this week, even if it's 100 pages, even if it's 50 pages. Like I say, it's better than nothing, and it'd be really good to get this finished by the end of June, to have this done kind of alongside everything else. As I've got the audiobook, and I've not going to spend any more money on credits at the moment. This is a good one to replace, once I'm done with the Black Moon, to be my audiobook book. So hopefully I can make progress through that. So that's the plans for the week. Game of Thrones, My Dark Vanessa, and to finish the Black Moon. So I think it's achievable, especially with My Dark Vanessa being a contemporary read. I think like this will probably feel like it will go a bit quicker than a chunky historical fiction like I've been reading. Especially as I've been reading historical fiction, I think I'd probably read this quicker than if I was reading contemporary and had been reading contemporary all month. Does that make sense? So, yeah. And I'm also got a bit of a dilemma. We're a week away from June, and by this point, I'd normally start thinking about what I want to read next month. And I'm thinking for the first time, I might literally just set myself the barest minimum. Like, I have to read the Poldark book, the next Poldark book. Well, I don't have to, but I would like to read the 6th Poldark book to continue with my 1 Poldark book a month. And I might just leave it there, apart from the next Into the Wilderness. I know I'm going to read that next month. I'd like to be able to read that next month. So those might be the only 2 books I put on my actual TBR, and then go from there. I don't know, I think I might just be, because everything's up in the air and I still don't know when I'm going back to work, I don't want to put loads of books on my June TBR and then not be able to read them. But then that will also give me the option, if I leave it a little bit more blank, that I can kind of be a bit more of a mood reader next month. That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. Also need to watch the final week's challenge for the paperback games hosted by Perfect Paperbacks Emma, because I want to try and see if I can fit one of these in to this week's challenge so that I've completed all the challenges. Fingers crossed. Pray for me. Anyway, I'm going to stop babbling on and I'm actually going to go and do some reading. And I hope this week is a good reading week. And what are you planning on reading this week? I'd love to hear about your reading plans, or what you have read, because by the time you see this, it'll be the end of the week. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next clip. So I've just been sat outside while my other half has been titivating with his motorcycles. We're just about to go inside, but I've managed to get to page 108 in My Dark Vanessa. Can you see that? And it's just nice to be sat out the front in the sunshine, getting a bit of... I'm sat in the shade, so I'm not really getting any vitamin D, but it's just nice to be out in the open air. Look how beautiful that sky is. So this parcel just arrived, and I think I know what it is. Thank you. Yay! It's The Switch by Beth and Leary. My pen pal Daisy May, I'm just going to check if it's got, no, it's not got my address. My pen pal Daisy May sent it to me. She was able to get it in Tesco's, and I've not been able to get it anywhere in my local supermarket. And I'm so excited to read this. I read The Flat Share earlier on in the year and really enjoyed it. And there's a little note here as well from Daisy. Like I said, she's my pen pal. So thank you so much, Daisy. So it is now Wednesday, and I thought I'd do a little bit more of a chilled update on my reading for today. So yesterday I managed to get to page 132, I think, of My Dark Vanessa. I have sat this morning, it's just gone midday. I've had quite a lazy start to the morning. My other half has been struggling to sleep in the heat, so we had a bit of a late night, and then anyway he then stirred quite early this morning, and so I did let him sleep in a little bit, and I've just had a bit of a lazy morning. I have read this morning to page 202, I think, so I've read about 70 pages this morning. I spent some time on Animal Crossing. I decided I wanted to do something on Animal Crossing, so it took a little bit, like, it wasn't just my daily chores. I make sure I get my daily chores in every day. It tends to be in the morning at the moment on Animal Crossing, and then I will if I want to do something in particular, I might go back on a bit later. At least I know I've got the base, like, daily chores I have to do done. I've found my money spot. I've dug all my fossils up. I've taken the coins off of my money tree, you know, everything like that you kind of have to do. Talk to all your residents on a daily basis.
all my bonus extra multiplier Nook Miles Plus things I've done, you know. But I had a plan in mind, so I did that, and now I think I'm going to grab something to eat, have something to eat, I think, and I'm not quite sure what we're going to do for the rest of the day. I think probably just a bit of a chilled one, to be fair. I do want to get some more of My Dark Vanessa read. I'm not quite halfway through it, I don't think, yet. Oh no, maybe I am. The phone's ringing. Sorry for the interruption there. It's really bad. I don't tend to answer the house phone when it rings, because if I'm upstairs I don't get down to it in time before the answer phone kicks in. But I heard the answer phone go when it did, and it was something important, so I rushed downstairs. Anyway, so yeah, I am over halfway through. I was looking at the wrong bit. I am over halfway through My Dark Vanessa. I'm enjoying it, but I feel like saying I'm enjoying it is wrong. I'm appreciating the writing, I'm appreciating the story and the characters and what the character's going through. It is hard-hitting. These sorts of books where that touch on people, obviously trigger warnings of this book for sort of sexual abuse, child abuse and things like that. But characters that go through that, it's always really interesting to see what their thoughts are on what they've been through, and how they think that there wasn't anything wrong with it. I wasn't abused, you know, that's mentioned because of the way that normally the abuser kind of acts, etc., and grooms them a lot of the time when they're children. They don't feel like they're being abused, and it's a really hard story to read, but I feel like it's something really important to read, to have a greater understanding of what goes on and how people deal with it. And I know everyone deals with it differently, but it's really intrigued me so far, and I'm interested to see how it goes, how it continues. As I've mentioned before, this has a current day when news is coming out about said abuser, the abuser who is 30 years older than the person that he abused. You have a kind of current day timeline and a back in when it happened timeline, and it's got to a point now where it's really kind of starting to turn, and it's really quite interesting to read. So yeah, I've been making good progress through this. It's Wednesday, so I've got a few days left in the month. We've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I've got 4 days left in the month. Would like to finish that, and also would like to finish The Black Moon by Winston Graham. I don't think I've picked this up I didn't pick this up on Tuesday. I must have picked this up on Monday, and I've managed to get to page 260. I believe I was on page about 170, so I've just read shy Monday afternoon, after I probably did my intro, read just shy of 100 pages of this, and feel like now that I've got a bit further in the story, it's kind of picked up a little bit. I tend to find them a little bit slow initially, but also because I watched the TV show, I kind of see the story as like a continuous, like a whole thing, which I think often with a series is the way that you feel, because you stop differentiating between seasons and things like that. And I think the book has a similar feel. The book series has a similar feel to it. You kind of just pick it straight back up and you delve back into the world. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what goes on. I'm just shy of halfway, and again I've got 4 days to finish this in and 4 days to finish My Dark Vanessa, so I feel like I'm doing well for midweek, for Wednesday. And like I say, it's only just gone midday, so I've got the rest of the day as well today. I don't see that we'll go out anywhere and do anything, so yeah, having a good start to the week, good first half to the week. So I thought I'd do another slightly more relaxed update today, just sat on my bed, rather than set everything up in there. So today is Friday, yesterday, Thursday, I actually finished My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I picked this book up yesterday on Thursday with only about 60 pages left to read, and I finished it in the morning, and I enjoyed the story, and the story was very interesting and very informative. I think a very important story as well. It was good. I think
obviously it's about an abusive relationship, and at the end it's not like the idea isn't there that everything's fixed and everything's better, but you have the idea, don't want to give spoilers, but you have the idea at the end that things are getting better for the main character. But I think that kind of obviously trigger warnings for abuse and paedophilia and things like that, but I think the idea of the fact that someone that has been through something abusive, it's like a kind of a constant thing that you will forever have with you, but it's then how you let that rule your life or not rule your life and things like that. So very, very good book, very, very well written. I really enjoyed the dual timelines. And going back in time retrospectively, and at some point knowing a bit more from the future, because obviously we jump between the past and the future. But what I also really appreciated is that the past was chronological, so it wasn't too confusing. Sometimes when the past isn't chronological, it can be a little bit more confusing and trying to, well, did we know this by this point and blah blah blah. But yeah, really enjoyed it, really, really good. And I believe it's a debut, I will double check that. And for a debut novel, it's blooming good, really, really good. Really enjoyed this, and it was nice to read something a little bit different from my normal reads. I've read a lot of kind of like fantasy, YA fantasy and historical fiction recently, so it's nice to have something more contemporary. And for anyone that doesn't know, this is the sort of thing I tend to gravitate more towards with regards to contemporary, something that maybe is a little bit more hard-hitting and has a bit more of a sort of hard-hitting side to it. I don't know why, but it's just something that I tend to enjoy in the contemporary side. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a light fluffy read, but and then I did pick up The Black Moon yesterday, and I read about 50 pages, 60 pages of this. What I did yesterday is I knew I had 4 days left to read it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, before the end of the month. So what I did was I split the remaining chunks into 3, knowing that if there was a day that I didn't get much chance to read on, that it wouldn't be like a massive problem. I was kind of like, it was my fail safe. Well, I've got it done into 3 sections. So to kind of get me in line, I'm just going to push this bookmark down. Sorry for the horrible glare off my glasses, it's really sunny. So this is where I'm currently at, here. And to get me in line with kind of the pages I need to read at least today, I need to get to there. And I think it's another 30, 40 pages to get me to that point. And then obviously I've got the last section split in 2. If I can get past that today, that would be really good, but I'm not putting the pressure on myself. It is gone, like it's gone 4 o'clock. It's 20, I think it's come up to 20 past 4. And I haven't actually had the chance to get any reading in today, just because I've been outside helping my other half. He's got a bit of a wiring issue on one of his motorbikes, and we're trying to trace where the issue is in the wiring, and it's just been very tricky. Also spent some time on Animal Crossing this morning. I was starting to get worried that I wasn't going to be able to make any money, and I was going to lose money from my turnips. Anyone that plays Animal Crossing will get this. But basically, I had a turnip crisis, and a really lovely lady opened up her island through a Facebook group, and I said, can I please come along? So I made loads of money on my turnips. Anyway, so my plan is for this afternoon, we've not got family quiz today because my other half's brother had a baby last night, this morning. We don't know the name yet, and we haven't seen any pictures because with quarantine, the brother, so the baby's brother, hasn't been able to see her yet, and they want him to be the first one to see the new baby and get to know the name before anyone else does, which is really sweet. So we haven't seen any pictures, we don't know what the name is, but she arrived into the world this morning in the early hours of the morning, and he's the one with the premium Zoom account. And we just decided against doing the quiz this week, and fingers crossed we can do it next week, and yeah, get everyone together to do it next week, fingers crossed, but it's not the end of the world if we don't. So I'm probably going to get some time to read this afternoon stroke evening. But I also, whilst I was sat outside, an Amazon delivery came, and I'm part of a couple of wishlist groups on Instagram, it's all about the giving rather than the receiving. So it's not like a tit for tat, well, I've bought one so I should receive one, or I've only received one so I'm only going to buy one. It's more about the giving. But I was really kindly gifted The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. Couldn't read that back to front, sorry. And this was kindly gifted to me by Bookish Gardener UK, Tanya. Bookish Gardener UK is her handle. And she said in the gift note, I hope you enjoy this book as much as I did. So I believe this is about a Paris bookshop, obviously. But I think it's a barge that's moored on the Seine, and he runs a bookshop, but really it's a literary apothecary. For this bookseller possesses a rare gift for sensing which books will soothe the troubled souls of his customers. The only person he's unable to cure, it seems, is himself. So it was on my wish list, and I'm really looking forward to reading it soon. I'll be honest with you, I can't really remember what the last clip was that I filmed for my vlog, so sorry if this isn't very continuity friendly, and I've just sat and filmed 2 or 3 videos for pre-filming to get them up, end of month wrap up, TBR, and now I'm filming this section of my weekly reading vlog. So since I've last updated you, I have finished 2 books. I don't think I've updated you since. Sorry, like I said, if this isn't, I should really just watch back the clips I filmed last and that should be sufficient, but anyway, so I have finished 2 books. I finished The Black Moon by Winston Graham, the 5th Poldark book. Just checking I got the right one. It is the 5th one. I enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a hard slog towards the end, and it was a bit of a slower read. I think having watched the TV show already and kind of knowing what's going on, I kind of feel I kind of want to almost wind it up a little bit and get it moving a bit quicker, because I kind of know what's going to happen and expecting how I see it to happen. I still enjoy them and they are still enjoyable books, but we are going to get a bit closer now to the TV show having come to an end, and there's more books. The books follow on further than the TV show, so I will get to a point where they'll be fresh and original and new to me. But I still enjoy it. I still enjoy the writing style, and I still enjoy the books as a whole. It's interesting to see how some of them do differ slightly from the TV show to the books, but now that I'm getting further away from the beginning, I'm struggling to remember quite how the TV show was compared to the books. I know the general gist, but my memory is not as good as it was. And then I picked this up yesterday after finishing it. I think I finished it yesterday. Yeah, I finished this yesterday. And then after finishing it, I picked up Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna Maguire. I thought it'd be a good one to pick up because I want to make further progress through the Wayward Children series. For anyone that doesn't know, this is Jack and Jill's origin story. So the Wayward Children series is a kind of non-linear series which I'm reading in publication order rather than how they're ordered in the series. I feel like if you read this before the first one, it wouldn't even make sense anyway. This is Jack and Jill's story of how they come to find their portal world, what sort of characters they are like before they come to find their portal world, and then how they come back to Earth, their normal original world. And we know from the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, we know that Jack and Jill have come and gone, so they're back in Earth, so we know that. So this is kind of filling in the blank of their story. So I really enjoyed this. I know they're small and a lot of people comment there's not enough to them. Someone that is quite happy to sit through a 900-page historical fiction, really, really highly descriptive, I still really enjoy these. And I think it's more about the, you get what you need to know in these, and that's what's important. I think that's important to remember as well when you're reading them. You're going to get told what's important information. And I think it's more about the series as a whole and how it all clicks in. I think that's kind of more the bit I enjoy, is how it all pieces together, that I'm enjoying so far. I do plan on reading the Beneath the Sugar Sky, hopefully, and the next one that I own. What's the next one? In an Absent Dream. I do plan on reading those if I can in June, if I have time for them. If I want to read them, I will pick them up. I'm having a little bit more of a liberal month in June in the sense of picking up books I want to mood read rather than focusing on a really strict TBR. I've got a couple of kind of mandatories, and then the rest are sort of a little bit flaky. If I get to them, I get to them. So yeah, I did really enjoy this. Finished this morning, and interested to see how the next one goes. I am not sure. Beneath the Sugar Sky. It takes us to the world of confection. Okay, this sounds a little bbit confusing. But I'm really interested to read this one and see how this one goes. I think this one might be a bit of an odd one, and I love the series. I love the oddity to the series so far, so, and how they all interlink and connect, and I like that aspect to it, the kind of sort of puzzle aspect of it, like how they all link into each other. So I am planning, if I can, this afternoon, I can say this afternoon, it's already gone 5 o'clock. I do want to try and pick up Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman and finish this today if I can. Obviously, it's a graphic novel, so I don't imagine this is going to take me too long to read. I read Volumes 1 and 2 very quickly, so I don't think this will be a hardship to get this finished today and have another book on my May reads. I'm currently on 11, counting down among the sticks and bones, so it would be really good to get a 12th book read, and that will be my best month so far in lockdown. So yeah, hopefully I'll get this read. I'm not 100% sure, but what I will do is I'll come on tomorrow morning or a little bit later on this evening and just let you know how I'm getting on. Editing Sophie coming in, but I did just want to let you know that I have finished reading Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. I did finish this yesterday on Sunday, so it did make it in for the week. I love this series. It's so light, it's so fluffy, and it's just really, I kind of want to just give the characters a big hug, basically, but just what I needed after a bit of a heavy historical fiction month, and definitely will be finishing, carrying on rather with the series as it's published. I like reading them in this format. I don't know if I'd enjoy them as much on the digital formats, but yeah, sorry for the slightly red lighting, but I've got red curtains and they're shut so that my other half can play computer games and not have the sun in his eyes. But yeah, like but I hope that this past week has been a little bit more interesting for you, and yeah, I hope it's been a good one. So thank you all very much for watching, and like I said, any feedback or anything I'd love to hear about in the comments. I'd also love to hear about what you've been reading this week. Have you read anything that's been amazing, or have you read something and you kind of felt like you were wasting your time a little bit? Because I haven't felt that so far. I haven't felt that in quite a long time actually, but I'd love to hear about your reading week and how you've been getting on. And if you haven't and you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done already, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Bye.